Hello guys, welcome back to TFD. It's Alvo. And honestly, I can't believe we're even having this conversation again, but here we are. The Luka Doncic trade somehow keeps getting stranger, and as we approach the one-year anniversary of the deal that shook the NBA to its core, it feels like the fallout is actually getting worse, not better. I remember when this trade first went down. It wasn't just basketball fans reacting. People in my family who don't even watch the NBA were texting me like, "Who is Luka? Why would they trade him? What is Dallas doing?" And a year later, those questions still don't have good answers. A lot has changed since that deal, and somehow, a lot hasn't. Let's be clear from the start. This is still one of the worst trades in NBA history. That hasn't changed. But over the past few weeks, there have been some developments, especially on the Mavericks side, that have taken this from historically bad to something even more disastrous. The logic behind Dallas trading Luka was already shaky. Nico Harrison's reported concerns were about Luka's conditioning, his long-term durability, and whether he fit the type of star the front office wanted to commit a supermax contract to. Fine. Questionable logic, but at least that was the explanation. The problem is who they chose as the replacement. Anthony Davis. That's where this completely falls apart. If your concern is durability, why on earth are you trading a generational 25-year-old superstar for a player whose entire career has been defined by injuries? A subtle disbelief laugh. AD is an elite defender, no question. When he's on the floor, he's still very good. But availability has always been the issue. And predictably, that issue showed up again in Dallas. He missed a significant chunk of last season after arriving. He's been in and out of the lineup this year, and now he's reportedly torn a ligament in his hand, an injury that could keep him out for months.
There's even a real possibility that with surgery, his season is over. We may have already seen Anthony Davis's final game this year as a Dallas Maverick. And the timing could not be worse. Just as reports were starting to circulate that Dallas might trade AD, possibly to Atlanta after the Trae Young move, or even teams like Toronto, this injury hits. Whatever value he had left, gone. Completely gone. No team is trading for that contract right now, not with this injury and not with this timeline. And that matters, because the only logical move for Dallas was to flip AD, get something back, picks, a young role player, anything, and then bottom out. This season was never about competing. The priority should have been clear. Position yourself for a top pick and go get Cooper Flagg. That's the future. Pair Flagg with another young piece, reset the timeline, and move forward. Kyrie Irving, when he returns, is not your long-term running mate. He's in his mid-30s, coming off a season-ending injury, and realistically, he's not part of the next decade. Cooper Flagg is. Instead, Dallas is now stuck. AD has no trade value. You can't move him at the deadline. Even in the offseason, who's biting? A big man in his mid-30s coming off another major injury with limited shooting and a massive salary? That window has slammed shut. So somehow, over the course of a single year, this trade has gone from one of the worst ever to clearly the worst ever to now somehow even worse than that. It was bad the moment it happened, and with every passing month, it just keeps aging like milk. And that's the real legacy of the Luka Doncic trade. One decision that keeps compounding its own failure. Things continue to snowball with the Luka trade for Dallas.
But over in Los Angeles, things have gotten interesting in a very different way. Because if you rewind to the start of this season, Luka Doncic looked unstoppable. Honestly, it was one of the best openings to a season we've ever seen from him. He came in shape, he was moving well, and he was absolutely torching teams. 40-point games were routine. The efficiency was ridiculous. For a stretch, it really felt like, okay,
This is it. This is the Luka MVP season. The Lakers were winning more than people expected, and it looked like he was about to drag them well beyond what anyone predicted coming into the year. But over the last month, maybe month and a half, things have cooled off. And before anyone twists this the wrong way, let me be very clear. This is not me saying Luka is bad, not even close. I've seen people go way too far with this, saying he's not top 5 anymore, saying he's overrated. Completely disagree. Luka Doncic is still a top 5 player in basketball. His ability to control a game, to go nuclear offensively, to generate elite offense almost by himself, that puts him in a very small group historically. That said, there are some things that have become a little concerning, and they're things the Lakers are going to have to address. A big part of it is athletic decline, and I don't think that's controversial to say. If you go back and watch clips from early in his career, especially those playoff series against the Clippers in the bubble, he just moved differently. He was quicker. He got downhill more often. He attacked the rim with real force. That part of his game has faded. Not disappeared, but faded. Right now, only about 7% of Luka's shots are coming within 3 feet of the rim. That's not great. For a guy who is this strong, this skilled, with this handle and this feel for the game, you'd expect him to live at the rim more often. Instead, he's settling for a lot of long twos, a lot of floaters, and a lot of step-back threes. Sometimes those go in, because he's Luka, but structurally, that's not ideal offense. The numbers back this up. He's shooting 45.8% from the field and just 32.3% from 3. And the three-point shooting is the big one. Luka has never been a truly elite three-point shooter. That 2024 season, where he shot around 38% on massive volume, was an outlier. Outside of that year, he's only had one season above 35.4%. Now he's taking over 10 threes a game, and according to a stat highlighted by Carson Breber from NerdSesh, he's currently shooting the lowest three-point percentage ever for a player attempting 10-plus threes per game. Again, that doesn't make him bad, but it does suggest the shot selection needs to improve. Fewer early clock step-backs, pause, more pressure inside the arc, more balance. This also ties into his playmaking. Luka is averaging the highest turnover rate of his career. Some of that is on him, but a lot of it is situational. The Lakers' spacing is not good. This is not a good shooting team. And Luka has the highest usage rate of his entire career, around 38%, which is absurd. Yes, having the ball in Luka's hands is usually the right decision, but compare this to Dallas, where the roster was actually built around him. In Dallas, he had Kyrie as the perfect number 2. He had elite lob threats like Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. He had shooters and defenders. Ironically, before everything fell apart, that roster construction was nearly perfect, which just makes the trade even more insane. In Los Angeles, he doesn't have that. Jackson Hayes and DeAndre Ayton are not premier rollers. Ayton isn't flying to the rim or putting pressure on the defense. The Ayton experience, frankly, is exhausting to watch. Luka is missing that vertical threat badly. That's why this upcoming offseason is massive for the Lakers. They have to bring in a real big, someone who can set hard screens, catch lobs, and punish defenses for loading up on Luka. Pause. They also need more shooting, period. As Luka's athleticism declines and the mileage adds up, with the nagging knee, calf, and ankle issues, it becomes even more important to put the right structure around him. The defense has also been the worst it's ever been for him, and while he'll never be a plus defender, a better supporting cast could lower his offensive burden and help him be at least serviceable on that end. So no, Luka isn't washed, he's still elite, but the margin for error is smaller now, and the Lakers have to get this right, because the Luka era is only going to work if the team around him actually makes sense.
So yeah, the whole situation is kind of weird when you look at it from both sides. For Dallas, it briefly felt like they might be able to salvage something from the Luka trade after making what was already one of the worst deals in NBA history. The idea was simple. flip Anthony Davis, get a return, and at least recover a little value. And then, of course, AD gets hurt and that door slams shut. Now they're stuck again, with no assets coming back and no real flexibility. On the Lakers side, getting Luka is still an undeniable win. You don't trade for a player like that and regret it. It hasn't been perfectly smooth either. There have been real ups and downs, and it's become obvious that the Lakers need to put a better team around him sooner rather than later. At the same time, Luka has some habits he needs to clean up if he wants to be the absolute best version of himself, regardless of who's around him. I said it in the preseason, and I still believe it. This Lakers team is not a championship contender. The defense just isn't good enough, and I don't trust them from three on a night-to-night basis. That's okay. After a move this big, things take time to stabilize. They're still a top 6 team in the West, but the negative net rating tells the real story. They've been great in clutch moments, though, and that's where Luka shines. Add LeBron, some big plays from Austin Reeves, and you're always tough late in games. This isn't the bad team, it's just not elite. Going forward, the work is on both sides. The Lakers need better pieces. Luka needs to refine his game. If he wants that MVP and a title in purple and gold, both things have to happen. Tell me what you think, and don't forget, like and subscribe.